chat? Let's get it. We're about to do some reaction videos for, I guess, the end of the night. About to jump right in. Let's get it, y'all. Alright, first video tonight. We're about to react to TikToks, but don't laugh, so I guess try not to laugh challenge. Let's get it.
If you live in this country, then speak our language or go back to your island, you little villager.
Electric chair.
Bye.
Shoot my shot like I'm Devin Booker. Can I bag you?
You cannot handle this.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Oh my god, why is there a giraffe in my house? A giraffe you have to go back to Africa.
So you ain't shit.
Dylan, are you gonna serve it or what?
Oh, yeah.
What is happening?
No, I mean serve the cake.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
No, not that cake.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Which piece? You want like the corner piece? Right?
Here's your pepperoni.
I'm not
Actually,
laughing.
I
I'm not
want
laughing.
cheese. Fine. Here's your cheese. Thanks.
That's just wasteful at this point.
Ew, nigga. What the fuck, nigga? Ew.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck?
What about you being built like a bus driver?
What about you being built like the bus?
Hey Alexa, play Whole Lotta Red.
Here's Whole Lotta Red by Play Guy Cartman.
What the fuck is this?
It's two fucking braids. What? Do you need a tutorial on how to wash your ass too?
Would you rather marry someone right now that your parents picked out or be single for the rest of your life?
I'm an orphan.
All right.
After 2 seconds, 1 second.
You would never, ever, ever
Not laughing.
catch me saying, oh, my nigga would never.
Me neither.
Smells really good.
I'm hungry as shit, yo. The fuck is this? I got the wrong sandwich. I don't want that shit.
What's that?
Man, let me use it.
Oh, I ain't doing that.
Oh no, this can't be.
I have a fucking boyfriend.
Your fucking luggage is running.
I piss and poo. I piss and poo,
Childish.
but mostly pee.
I'm just gonna do my community service, so check it out. You know that little bin at Walmart with all the dulces? Organized there, homie. That's community service, homie.
Hey everyone. I'm already crying.
Ew, why the fuck you biting on your hoodie string?
Are you for real right now?
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Bro, look at this goofy all Highness's taser. It looks sound like an AK.
Do y'all think I
This
look
show
like a
do sound
boy?
like AK.
Don't answer that. Please don't answer that. I already know. I already know the answer.
I just want to say I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and this is my best friend Valentina. She's an ally. Talk, Valentina.
Ally.
All right, bro. My sister about to eat these extremely hot noodles on game. On game. You ate, bro. She talking about the noodles done. These noodles hard as hell. Talking about
I don't like my noodles soggy.
noodles are. There's no way people really eat this, bro. Like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, uh-oh. Oh.
No, and then we went on the roof.
Wait, you went on the roof?
Huh?
Did you go on the roof?
Why would I go on the roof?
I don't know, that's what you said.
No, I've never been on the roof before.
Well, you said that you went on the roof.
I never said that. I think you're hearing things. You sound a little bit crazy right now.
Dog. What?
Oh, what's up, bro?
It's nothing personal.
Huh?
Man, motherfucker just spilled.
Man, fuck you, you bitch.
Your mama.
Yo mama, yo bald-headed ass.
Ah, you mad.
Hey! Come on, man. That's too easy.
Because she told me on the bus that the bus driver can kiss her ass, and the bus driver is a stupid bitch.
No, you guys don't. What? You told her that? You told her that. What did you say? You're not supposed to talk like that.
Dog. The dance afterwards?
What? You told her that?
The dance, like,
You told
yeah,
her
who
that.
told her that? I'll do it again.
You're not supposed to talk like that.
Yo, look at this.
Is she alright? She gotta be
Boop.
cool.
Bro, I'm dead. Bro, me too.
That's corny.
Oh, don't do it too high because I don't want to fall and get hurt.
You about to fall and get hurt.
I done seen some fucked up shit.
Oh. This
That's the
Chicago.
most fucked up shit I've
That's
ever
New York.
seen.
It's New York.
Look at this fucking bullshit. What the fuck?
Wait,
flip.
wait.
Don't flip. Fucking bull.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Hey, bro. They got me, bro. They got me, dog. Hey. Hey, bro. The nigga talking about crazy shit I ever seen. He blind. And then Buddy in a wheelchair with the legs back to back. That's wild.
That's fucked up. That's the most fucked up shit I've ever seen.
Look at this fucking bullshit. What the fuck? Don't flip.
That's crazy.
Oh, water. Yes, why not? You know, always stay hydrated. Oh, so fucking good. Oh my god, silly me. I already had one. You guys, it's not what it looks like. I swear.
If you're right-brained, you'll see a fish. If you're left-brained, you'll see a mermaid.
I see a donkey.
No cap.
Am I okay?
No cap.
Starts with a K. We all know he's a gay.
How would you know my favorite word, TikTok? What? How would you know? Tell me. Tell me. What the hell? Ooh.
What's wrong, buddy? Acting like that over some hot fries. She fudge.
Bro, look at this goofy off phone. What the fuck?
That's crazy.
What the F is this?
Comes up wanted to trade. Hey, so would pull up with a bunch of shit you ain't never heard of.
The fuck, man?
These pussy though. These pussy though. These pussy though.
Despacito! Despacito!
My favorite swear words is bollocks, shit, and fuck.
Oh. Oh, hell no, bro.
Clean it up now.
You know what's funny? As soon as he turned the camera off, he had to clean it up.
And a yogurt I want to try. And the thing about this one that made me want to try it is it's a fucking little terracotta pot. It's even got like a whole stamp on there and then it's painted. Like,
Dog. Dog.
Really?
I'm sorry.
Really? What time was you supposed to be here?
I'm only like 5 minutes behind.
5 minutes is a little bit too late, honey. I got somewhere to be. I got an appointment.
What the hell? Hey, I just gave up. I'm gonna keep laughing at this point.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck are you doing?
3 o'clock in the morning. The mall is closed. Bro, there's so many cars.
Wait, that shit
Bro,
crazy.
twin, bro.
Bro.
This is a simulation.
Simulation.
That's foul.
The fuck is you looking at?
I'm just gonna check your mouth for any secretions. Can you say period N for me? Period N.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Do not sell marijuana to my husband.
Okay.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Dog, if I saw somebody like that trying to fight, bro, gee. Either I'm about to get knocked the hell out. Either I'm about to get knocked the hell out, or I'm about to knock his ass out with one shot, bro. There's no in between. This nigga is not a moderate level fighter. This nigga is either goat talk or trash talk, bro. If I ever see somebody dressed like this, ready to fight, squared up like this, bro, it's go time. It's go time.
Get your ass on, boy.
Dog.
Fuck myself up, bro.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway.
Hey, stop it.
Why?
No.
Happy birthday to you, doodle. Happy birthday to you, doodle. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. I hope you have or had a good day. Whether you're in the middle of the one, ending one, or anticipating a new one, I hope it's good. I hope someone has told you that you look amazing, and if not, then I wanted to say you look amazing. I hope someone has told you that you are wonderful, that your smile is beautiful, and that your energy is radiating positivity. And if not, then I wanted to say that you're wonderful.
Hey, I like that, y'all. It was the beginning. But about the middle, it switched up on me. Got real good. I bet. Alright, we're about to react to best basketball TikToks of 2022. Let's jump into it. Let's get it. Hey. Hey, this is street ball. Hey, I thought he could only pass. My man's got a yumper too. Nah, bro. When I used to see people doing stuff like that, bro, it's always teams that do shit like that mess around and get their ass swept off the court, bro. No cap, bro. Whether it was football, basketball, baseball, whatever sport it was, if your pregame celebration too crazy and it ain't even good, you about to get swept off the court, bro. Swept off the field, whatever it is. No questions asked.
Cross the sport mode.
Hey, hey, that's this dude right here. This my son, bro. That's cute. Hey, coach! He just jumped. Oh my God! What? What? Bro, first off, I think he just cleared that man. Did he clear that man? It's always the low quality videos. But I think he cleared that man. And then that. That's the wildest thing I've ever seen, bro. That's the wildest thing I've ever seen in a basketball game, bro. That's crazy. Hey, he said, I'm like that. Know that I'm him. Hey, hey, y'all know when they let the football players get on the court? Dog. What? Oh my God, bro. He crossed that man up so bad he passed out. Oh my God, bro.
Not gonna believe who I'm running into today. Trae Young. My man, bro.
I don't know if that's dog. Dog. Bruh. I don't know if that's Trae Young on his off day or not. Bro. He looks like this nigga's twin.
You look that man, that's Trae Young, man. How Atlanta doing? Yeah.
Dog. Hey, bro, don't do that. Don't step on the court trying to do that if you ain't gonna finish it, bro. You know his coach put him right on the bench. Hey, bro. There's always one dude on the team doing some shit like this. Oh my god. Wait, did he say he pushed off? Yeah, he said he pushed off. This is a charge. Oh no, between the legs crossover? Wait, what just happened? This is nasty, bro. That's why he's at IMG. Unless it's IMG in the... Right? I can't tell. Cannot see it. It's just a... Oh! That boy played the bongos on his dome top. Bro, what? That dude's a menace. Look at a menace. Hey, don't let his hops get right. I think he's doing college now too, right? I feel like his NIL deal was crazy. I heard something about that. Dude, crazy with it. And mad humble about it too. That's crazy. It's dope.
Tell him get off of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan.
Okay, the tug out. Come on, Hunk. Again, when they let a football player hoop. Dog, that's crazy. Little dude with it? That's fire. Hey, you see the ref? Yo. He about to snatch that up back. Yep. Damn! Out his shoes? Hey! Bro, he laughing at himself! Dog! Dog! Bro, hey, you know it's bad when all you can do is sit there and laugh yourself. Golly. Damn, bro. Damn, bro. Damn. Not the whole gym on your head, bro. Shit. That's a suburban game, but Buddy got to it. They let the basketball player hoop again. Hey, no cap. One day my big ass gonna be hooping like this. One day, I'm one summer, one something. I'm gonna take some time, pay for a trainer, get right, and my big ass gonna be hooping like this. Y'all believe me? Let me know in the comments. Ooh! Let's get it, boy. My man's. Hey! Jim going crazy. Hey, he must not get a lot of clock, bro. My man's, he remind, if y'all seen Kuroko's basketball, bro, my man's, that's one dude, they thought it was trash, bro. Shit, is that Kuroko? Low-key nice with it. Yeah, it was Kuroko. Jim going crazy for that boy. Oh. That nigga, he went straight 2K. Was that a travel? Hey, maybe I might have missed it. His handles don't even look crazy. The Yumper nice though. The D nice. Handles don't look crazy, but hey, he hooping. Hey, his bag ain't deep, but what he got, he making sure he use it. That's crazy. To do that on somebody in a game. Hey, if I was a blue jersey, I might have to stomp somebody out. You know, hey, don't disrespect me like that, bro. Where'd he get the pillow? I love it. Dog, what? Oh. Never. Just the game. That hurts, bro. Hey, bro. Hey, bro, what? Hey, that's Pat Bev energy, bro. That's Patrick Beverly energy. What? Oh, I seen this. They just keep going back and forth with half court shots. Yo, if y'all like that, thanks for tuning into the video. Yeah, consider subscribing. Let's get it. Let's get the next one right. All right, bet. Today we reacting to The Secret Power of Homeschoolers, a documentary by Vice News. Y'all know I used to work in college admissions, so I'm going to give y'all an admissions counselor take on the secret powers of homeschoolers. Let's jump in.
Right now in America, unfortunately, the schools are failing us.
We find in a lot of our public schools more emphasis on teaching critical race theory than we had on teaching critical math theory.
It was the decision of a father first. I'll be damned if I don't do something for my kids.
A lot of families started homeschooling way back when to get away from people like me. The people that you have to work with are also the people who crush you.
Did you know that there was this kind of homeschool lobby before you introduced this legislation?
I wasn't aware of the grips that they really have on the legislature.
The homeschooling movement is extraordinarily influential.
Homeschooling exists because of freedom, but that freedom is constantly being attempted to be eroded.
You're a powerful group.
I think we are. Why do you think that is? Because we know our rights.
I like the hair, cupcake head. It's down by the water. That's gonna be a fun day at the lake. All right, let's see who can find the smoothest rock. Oh yeah, shoot, you already got it.
Can anybody tell me what a verb is? Torsten, you know?
The A phrase.
It's a noun. So a verb is an action word, okay? So this week, we're gonna add the
school by the water like that. That'd be fire.
To an action word to show that it's happening
I can
right
school
now.
outside
So
of a
our
classroom.
first spelling word
It's
is.
fire.
Are you ready, Charlie? First one, number one is willing.
Dude, look, you got a cast out there, man.
So we're out at a lake outside of Redding, California, and this is a school morning for these kids, but they're not technically in school. They're actually a bunch of homeschoolers. It wasn't long ago that homeschooling was rare. Just 3% of students.
Come closer so I can get you wet.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Then the pandemic happened.
No, don't trust that one. We're not trusting any of those branches.
Most kids spent months on screens learning virtually, but some ended up in places like this.
We are a school without being a school, so we just double down on academics. So from paddling to wilderness survival to literature, it takes all of these dynamics to raise up and unleash your powerful child. Then we got kindergarten here. We're just peeking in.
Ryan Spitz started the California Adventure Academy in the fall of 2020. Good job.
I feel like it's always California with a bunch of money behind they.
Guys. Kids split their time between outdoor activities
Wealthy
and
parents.
academics, using space Spitz rented from a local church.
No expense.
Self-defense week. We
For
did
the kid.
boxing, jiu-jitsu, karate stuff.
He doesn't have a background in education. He used to run an
wild.
adventure tourism company before it was wiped out by the pandemic.
That's wild.
Ooh. All these kids are registered homeschoolers. Families filed paperwork with the state of California, then dropped them off here. What do they learn?
I'll give you a piece of opinion that I have before we even get deep into the video. When I was an admissions counselor, it was common to see wealthy families homeschool their students. But the students, like, I'd look at the transcript and it was like classes I've never heard of, because it was something kind of like this where, like, I remember one student once said that instead of taking a history class, they decided to, this was like ultra wealthy family, instead of taking a history class, they decided to take him to like Greece and Rome to see different sites in person. Like, but what I also noticed a lot with a lot of homeschool students, it was always like, I don't know if I've ever seen a homeschool student with a C, like like, unless it was like they did it through like an online class or something. But if it was like one of these kind of low-key groups, I'm not saying that students don't fail, but as a college admissions counselor, I never saw a failing student. That's what I'll say.
Learning right now, do you think?
So right now it's more just creative play. So we got some kids that are doing some sandcastle stuff, others spraying each other with water. Healthy conflict.
Some come.
And then you think, well, if it's not the grades, maybe it's the ACT scores that take care of the students. Or like that let a college admissions counselor know that the student is well prepared. But we all, like, there's no secret that ACT scores don't show accurately like a student's readiness for college. Like, I had a pretty high ACT score. There were other people who definitely had lower ACT scores than me. But I think who, like, they had a smoother journey through college.
Just for the activities, but lots of kids pay around $800 a month and do all their learning.
Do you have any ideas how to cast harder?
In the first school year after the pandemic, homeschoolers in the U.S. doubled. And even though schools are now mostly back to normal, a lot of the new homeschoolers didn't go back. Last year, in states that track this data...
Did I just say California and Colorado? Were they, like... Oh, never mind. It was just...
The number of homeschoolers was still up an average of more than 50%. What's this like compared to your last school?
I like it a lot more because we do a lot more like adventures. We go outside more. We've actually learned how to fish a lot. Most little kids, like kindergartners and first.
Sounds like Montessori.
And we've also done like, say if you get a wound,
Like
how do you fix it?
Yeah. Do you know why you started coming to school here?
Yeah, because at my other school, they made you wear masks. They made you wear masks all the time.
So was that was important to your family?
Yeah.
That's wild.
3. It started as COVID and then moved beyond COVID. But the initial drivers were from the social distancing, from the masking, from sitting behind plexiglass. We're now, these kids and my son are starting to fear their bodies, can't trust their bodies, fearing other people.
What?
Yeah, you don't need your whole backpack right now.
And then quickly realized there were a lot of other people in our shoes that kind of felt the same.
How many kids did you start with?
So started with 44 kids, then we grew to over 200.
What is that growth?
I think it's important to note that there's not, as we're on the topic of they pull their kids out of school with no mask, I think it's also important to note that there's not a single student of color in this.
Say to you.
What we've been doing is not working. I think from a society standpoint, we're kind of have seen to a degree we're reaping what we've sown.
New homeschooling models like this create an almost parallel structure to the public school system, but without the regulations.
Again, when I was in admissions, getting into college, it was so messed up because a lot of colleges, including the one that I worked for, did not prioritize low-income students or students of color having access to a strong college education. That was not priority whatsoever. And the students who on paper seem to be the most prepared oftentimes were students who just had more resources. We don't got to go into a deep conversation about the generational wealth gap or racial wealth gap, but I mean, when you put two and two together, parents who can afford to give their students more unique educational experiences, or even not even unique educational experience, who have options when it comes to their students' education. I think those students sometimes perform better, or many times perform better on college readiness assessments. And I don't think it's the students, it's of the students doing. Of course, the student had to take the test, they had to do this or that. But a lot of well-resourced students are just well-resourced. That's all it is. When you can take a practice ACT test 4 or 5 times, of course you're going to be ready for it for the real exam by the time you get it, because now it's your 6th or 8th, 9th, 10th time taking it, versus the student who takes the ACT test and had one practice test before, because each practice test costs money, or especially if you got a class or something around it.
Rules vary from state to state. California recommends homeschoolers study subjects they'd get in the public schools, but there's not actually any required curriculum or testing.
Exactly what I just said. Bunch of classes you never heard of.
We're going to start halfway down here.
Spitz doesn't even need a license to offer these classes. His teachers, or what he calls guides, don't have to be credentialed. They just have to be, quote, capable of teaching.
Stop with a
Dog, what? Bro, what is America doing?
page 22. Can you get there?
All that's actually required is that someone track attendance, what was taught, and who taught it.
Is this a fancy loophole, to get around being effectively a school? Have you created effectively a school?
So I've created a new category of a really strong support function to homeschool families. At the end of the day,
what the hell does that even
it's
mean?
the parents' choice to what they want to opt in and opt out of. So I think that's where it's now on the homeschool front. It's kind of parents taking back control over their children.
The surge in homeschooling went hand in hand with a bigger shift, dismantling the idea of public school as a public good.
I would never put them in a mass because their brain needs oxygen to grow.
Public education quickly became the backdrop for some of America's most explosive fights.
Figure it out or get off the podium.
The idea of allowing transgenders full access to any bathroom of their choice is just foolish.
My 9-year-old does not need to know about segregation.
It's unconstitutional for the state to take control of my child's education.
What the hell is
The
happening?
mandates from COVID, lit the fire of, I think, a lot of the mama bears out there. So that kind of awoken the beast holistically of, okay, well now let's start looking a little bit closer at what is going on with my kid when I drop off my kid.
What do you feel like they're being forced to teach or forced to do in the schools that you object to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the mandates were one of the biggest ones. And then I think now that when it comes to the sex ed or critical race theory or just some others, it doesn't seem as intentional or pure on how we're raising the kids.
And if we just gonna be honest, so we're just gonna act like evangelicals have done a great job, and I'm a Christian. I don't like the word evangelical. We're gonna assume that evangelicals have done a good job of teaching students about sex and race, and that's the assumption he's trying to make, and say that the schools aren't doing a good job about it. Like, get the hell out of here. I went to an evangelical elementary school, and to see, like, by the time, like, I got to high school, I didn't really know shit about sex. Like, everything I learned about sex came from my parents, not the school. Like, of course, it's a one-off, but then I went to an evangelical college after years of public school, and, again, don't do a good job of teaching it. Like, what? Like, come on, bro. Evangelicals, like, as much as a lot of evangelicals claim to be the moral authority on a whole bunch of shit, like, that's cap, bro. That's cap. Like, if you actually open your Bible, it's something you, like, this is not a theological conversation. Let's go. But bro,
you
bro,
want to start ushering them all over this way?
I think the type of content on what they're teaching about sex or anal sex, that my third grade daughter should not be in a classroom where a teacher or someone else is teaching her about that.
And that was your experience in school?
Through friends in other spots that had been kids at those ages, because mine was only in first grade when we pulled them.
So it's always like they make a wild claim, and then you ask them what's the evidence to support that claim, and it's always a friend of a friend. Like, get the hell out of here, bro. Like, what the hell? What the hell? And we ain't finna talk about I went to a Christian college and motherfuckers was talking about you can't have sex before marriage, but you can have Christian sex. But evangelicals know best. My fault.
All right, we're gonna do
My
adventure
fault.
fest in
I don't know
3,
what I'm
2, 1.
talking
Oh, we can do
I just
it
read my
better
Bible,
than
you know?
that. Adventure fest in 3, 2, 1.
Like, what?
That's perfect. Very good.
I've never been a politics guy. That's never been my passion. It was the decision of a father first. I was like, I'll be damned if I don't do something for my kids.
Yeah, most
that's
Trump
now
supporters were
it's
not
just kind of
politics
cascaded
guys.
You got radicalized.
Yep, and then again from doing that,
Oh, he
it's now
got
entered the
radicalized.
formal
Oh.
education space.
Yeah.
It's entered the homeschool space. It's now entering the political space.
Can I get an adventure fist from you guys?
Most ultra conservatives were not politics guys. Until the Republican Party found ways.
So we're in Orlando
To make
at
them
the
politics
biggest homeschool
guys.
conference in the country. There's hundreds of booths,
Shit is wild.
everything from swords to lobbyists to textbooks. So we're just gonna walk around and meet some homeschoolers. It's just air.
There.
Who is God's son?
Jesus. Yes, I'll take one of these. The homeschooler's mantra that parents should.
One thing I used to say when I worked at a Christian college was it was a lot of stuff being done in the name of Jesus that was not of Jesus. I'll leave that there. But I think you see some patterns. I hope you see the patterns.
Should have the power, not the government, has become a core part of the right's political platform, which was on full display at the Florida Parent Educators Association's convention.
Why are you guys here?
So Florida Moms for America is here because we want to raise the next generation of patriots.
Can you talk about the connection between, politics and homeschooling and how you see those worlds overlapping?
So people homeschool for faith-based reasons, and people also homeschool because they don't want their children to get indoctrinated or inundated with certain things. We are just for parents' rights.
I can guarantee you I recruited students whose parents were affected by probably several of the organizations in this room. And it makes sense. That's what I'll say.
We monitor the books in the libraries at the...
Don't get me wrong. It's not students. The students were great. But, yeah. Like we're all a product of the environment we were raised in. So,
schools, we attend the school board meetings, we look at the school's budgets, anything that has to do with our children.
What's the connection and the overlap with the homeschool community?
So the homeschool community, the overlap there is, even though they homeschool their children, they still care what goes on in the public schools. My children are grown, but I still care what goes on in our schools. Those kids are our future.
Homeschooling is important because right now in America, unfortunately, the schools are failing us, the public schools, and especially when they got locked down with the COVID situation, they were able to see the curriculums of what the children were learning, and they felt that it just was not appropriate.
Lord, and we just ask you for your mercy. We need your help, Father. This is an enormous task in a world that is upside down.
I hope that y'all see this. This homeschooling conference
we pray.
is
Amen.
Really a conservative
Here,
conference.
homeschooling is the common denominator, the jumping off point that unites COVID-denying doctors.
This is all a big, giant medical game.
What did I just say?
They're playing with our minds and our society.
No, they're not!
Denying activists.
Something is attempting to take over our country and divorce us from our Constitution. I won't go into that. That's my pet peeve at the moment, the whole election thing.
And parents who see themselves on the front lines of a battle over the soul of the country.
The government has plowed through everyone else, and now we have to shield our children.
Their fight has also attracted some more famous conservatives.
Please help me welcome Dr. Ben Carson.
Dog.
We need to recognize that political correctness, which has morphed into wokeness, is antithetical to the principle of liberty and freedom of speech.
So it's antithetical to freedom of speech, but you guys are mad that your student is learning about critical race theory. What? What the hell is critical race theory? You can't explain it to me, Mr. Carson.
And I'm very glad to see alternatives, because we find in a lot of our public schools more emphasis on teaching critical race theory than we had on teaching critical math theory.
The homeschooling community wasn't always this strong.
Our children belong to our families. Our children are the most important single thing.
Most states historically treated homeschool like no school. Parents trying to do it ran into lots of legal problems.
There are some school districts that tend to be hostile and not want to give information to parents.
And there's a Homeschool Legal Defense Association
That is
website
correct.
as
That's
well.
as well.
But in the 80s, a small group of lawyers got together to change that.
This commission was created by executive order.
They created the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, or HSLDA.
I think the ultimate form of privatization of education, that is homeschooling.
The co-founder was Michael Ferris, a homeschool dad who was president of the group for almost 20 years, before going on to become one of the country's most influential right-wing lawyers.
Homeschooling is still considered illegal in most states. If we're going to have educational innovation, we've got to allow for it, first of all, to exist legally without parents feeling that they're going to be prosecuted.
For the past 5 years, he's run the Alliance Defending Freedom.
I'm Michael Ferris. I'm the president and general counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom.
ADF is a conservative powerhouse, successfully suing to eliminate vaccine mandates, fighting to ban transgender athletes in school sports, and helping build the legal case that eventually overturned Roe v. Wade.
That's wild as hell.
Ferris may have moved on to higher profile causes,
That's
but
wild as
he'll
hell.
always be tied to the HSLDA. He's still chairman of its board.
If we don't have people who believe the principles of freedom, we won't be a free nation.
And his legacy lives on at Generation Joshua, the youth program he founded in 2003.
The House will come to order. We're currently on consideration of HR 66.
I do believe that there is pieces that are missing, like how we're going to govern this colony and really what we're going to do with it.
We're moving to DEFCON level 2 because we feel very much threatened.
We're getting close to a third world war.
There are no auditory things right here. This is a voting booth. You cannot influence votes here. You also cannot influence votes within these pillars. You must be outside if you want to talk to anyone. That is literally federal law.
What the hell?
So this is Generation Joshua. It was founded by the HSLDA as like the youth division to train the future Christian leaders of America. This week they've set up a political simulation. So these teenagers, who are pretty much all homeschoolers, are practicing how to run the different branches of government through the State Department, the Department of Defense, and
That's wild. What I have always said, will continue to say, conservatives, I don't agree with 99% of shit they be saying and doing. But they do have an edge in their organization and their like long-term plans. Like, that's just wild. But like, it's why they will. It's reasons like this that they'll most likely win the house next month.
we're gonna go check out one of their strategy
That shit
sessions.
crazy.
I just wanted to show some introductions around here real quick. So can I interrupt for a second? Yes, sir. All right, so quick thing. Press secretary for...
Oh, and not caring about voting rights. Let's be honest. I'll just leave that there.
Intelligence is here. The CIA? Who's in charge of the CIA now? I'm so sorry. Okay, fair enough. You do realize the FBI is watching you. Good, okay.
I do now.
Now you do. And then we have the Defense Intelligence Agency, and we have the National Security Agency.
Joel Gruey, who was homeschooled and now homeschools his 3 kids, heads up the whole operation. Generation Joshua has local chapters across the country and runs small intensive leadership camps like this throughout the year.
If someone set this up and the end result was people died, it's no longer arson, it's murder.
Okay,
right?
that's
okay? At least I think so. Prosecution can tell you more. Does that escalate the punishment?
It should.
So how many kids are here this week?
About 100, give or take. Usually we'll have a couple hundred come through over the course of the summer.
And how many camps are you running like this during the year?
Normally 3 or 4. We've had about 30,000 kids come through the whole program over the course of the last 15 or so years.
What's in here?
This is defense. So come on in. Hey, how you doing?
Those are other countries' missiles?
Not missiles,
Oh.
but ballistic launch capacity.
Oh, and you have the nuclear launch code?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding?
What the hell, bro?
Generation Joshua, at least in part, was designed to make sure that each generation of homeschool students understood the basic skills for political activism, policy, governance, how it works, how they can get involved. Partly it was originally done to say, hey, here is how we defend those hard-fought freedoms.
Why is it so important for homeschoolers specifically to do a program like this?
Well, I think it comes back to that idea of freedom. But that freedom is constantly being attempted to be eroded in different ways. Generation Joshua says, here's, at least in part, here's how freedom is kept and won and held and defended, and here's how you as a citizen make your voice heard no matter what you go and do.
Why is that aligned with
To the
sort
right?
of the GOP, yeah, and the more Republican side?
I don't think, so for example, for us, we would say that we are not partisan, we are principled. Of the 2 political parties, the GOP has been traditionally more favorable to homeschool freedom.
Generation Joshua's simulation has all the trappings of a real government, even a campaign for the presidency.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and play the first campaign ad.
Tough battles in the halls of Congress, protecting our veterans, defending the unborn lives, and standing up for American businesses.
We are going to continue to fight for the rights of the unborn.
The president and vice president.
As I was running for president, my motto, my campaign slogan was to refine the homeland. Essentially, to fix our education system, make sure that our kids are being taught good things, that it can help our country grow and be a stronger country altogether.
What do people say about education here? What are the big topics?
So big topics are just like the idea that curriculum would be decided by the government at the top for every single school. I saw a lot of bills and a lot of people arguing that we should have like parents be able to decide and like vote on what curricula were being taught in the specific school in their district.
It makes sense. However, it's been conservatives who've taken a lot of funding from schools and from public schools and from the education system. Like, yeah, it's a good idea for parents to have an input in what their students are learning, but don't like. What about the broke parent who can't afford to send their kid to a private school? Like, they say, well, a charter school, which is still taking money from the main public school system. It's, come on now.
Like what kinds of things?
Things like critical race theory, things like the 1619 Project, or just the idea that in a lot of schools across America, even like middle schools and sometimes elementary schools, there's like graphic or sexual content that's discussed. And I think that that's something that a lot of people...
It's race at the high school level, and then it's sex at the education level. Like, they just say critical race theory, but the whole time they just want to, what they really want to say is that we don't want our kids to learn that black people were enslaved and that this country has a very racist history. It was built on racism. That's really what they want to say when they keep saying critical race theory.
I should get fired up about, and we should definitely take care of.
These talking points are almost verbatim what you'd hear from today's GOP. And that's the point. Part of Generation Joshua is about bringing what kids learn here into the real world. Every election cycle, the organization picks politicians who support its mission, almost exclusively Republicans, and deploys homeschoolers to help them win.
What we do is we'll say, hey, let's look at races that are swing, right? Where a handful of people can come in and they can invest their time. The advantage to us on a practical level is that we were able to advance and encourage, pro-freedom, pro-family, pro-homeschooling candidates.
Does this make this group kind of a political secret weapon for some of these campaigns?
I don't think it's a secret, but it is effective and it is different. They tend to work pretty hard when they do it, and all of that makes them had to have a high impact. The campaigns recognize that.
I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Start with what?
Bibles. The Bible. Bibles.
Brooks, do you want to pray for us this morning?
No.
No. Okay. Pax, would you like to pray for us this morning?
Okay. Thank you, Lord.
Amber Johnston is a homeschool mom of 4 and started a co-op for black homeschoolers 6 years ago. Since the pandemic started, it's swelled to 260 kids.
Wow.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Black families are one of homeschooling's fastest growing segments. In the last 2 years, their numbers rose by 500%. But they don't always see themselves represented among the movement's major players. What do you hear on kind of the main stage of homeschooling that's alienating to families like you and the ones that you work with?
Anytime you say the word black, or if you write about something needing to be inclusive, they're like, oh, nope, here they are coming over here being woke, all that critical race theory stuff, and I'm just like, I just want my kids to have some books with black people in them. The people that are giving us the hardest time, on paper, if you were to write down the description of...
I'll put you like this. Being a college admissions counselor, I saw a lot of shit, and I was like, I know where I want to invest in my kids' education, and if homeschooling is an opportunity, I'll do it. But I do it more like this. Like, in a black co-op, because what she just said, I don't need to repeat it.
Of them, aside from being white, you would also be often describing me. And I have to remember that a lot of families started homeschooling way back when to get away from people like me. In biblical stories, the artists typically make people look like what?
Themselves.
They typically make people look like themselves.
The black person in this is make them black.
Oftentimes, black artists do depict the biblical stories as black people.
We've seen homeschooling really rise since the start of the pandemic, and a lot of black families are sticking with it at higher rates. Why do you think that's happening?
There was a feeling of seeing that maybe we hadn't come as far as some of us thought we had, and a fear of like kind of not wanting to put my child in an environment where now I see what people really do think of them. The thought that someone would look at my children and feel that they're less than is crushing. I felt like if there was a way to avoid that, a way that I could protect them for as long as possible, then that's what I wanted to do. And I think that that's what I heard from other parents. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, guys. The history curriculum centers the experiences of people of color in the United States in American history. So it's gonna be Black, Indigenous, and some also Latino. I had already been homeschooling for years when COVID hit, but this is what other parents were telling me. They're like, I can't do it. Like, I can't take them back. It was almost like a desperation.
When you outline what's appealing to you about homeschooling, on paper, it's exactly the same as what someone who might be on the complete right-wing end of the spectrum is also saying.
The system is broken. Now, the issue is we don't agree on how to fix it. But we actually all agree that it's broken. It's similar to homeschooling. Whenever there's a threat in any particular state to their right to homeschool, oh, you will see us come together. You know, we're not gonna stay together, but we will band up because we all desperately need our right to homeschool.
What is your relationship as a homeschooler with the HSLDA?
My family is a member of the group, which basically means like if there was a knock at the door or some type of challenge to our ability to homeschool, like you can call them and they'll represent you free of charge. And that's the nuanced aspect of being in the homeschool world. The people that you have to work with in order to maintain what you hold dear are also the people who crush you.
We've been protecting and equipping homeschool families for more than 35 years.
That's crazy.
Johnston's one of more than 100,000 families who pay annual fees of about $130 for that kind of support. Between memberships and donations, the HSLDA has brought in as much as $13 million a year, money it uses to protect families from restrictions on their ability to homeschool.
We'll send letters, make calls, and even represent you in court.
Over the past few decades, the HSLDA has helped make it easier to homeschool across the country. Today, 16 states have no curriculum requirements, 32 states have no mandatory testing, and in 12 states, parents don't even have to notify officials when they pull their kid out of school. The HSLDA's fundamental opposition to regulation means its activism extends well beyond homeschooling itself.
So that, as I was saying, some parents can literally give their students straight A's, and by the time it gets to an admissions counselor's desk, we're like, I don't know how quality this student is or not. But we just got to go off the data we got.
It's opposed vaccine requirements, unionization efforts, even same-sex marriage, and has recently supported a slew of parents' rights bills. When the HSLDA picks up a cause, it can torpedo legislation with a single call to action, even when it doesn't seem like the kind of bill a group supporting children would be opposed to. This happened in 2018, when a teacher in West Virginia reported an 8-year-old student named Rayleigh Browning was showing signs of abuse. Child Protective Services launched an investigation, but then her dad pulled her out and registered her as a homeschooler.
Rayleigh died at a local hospital the day after Christmas 2018. 2 nurses testified the 8-year-old had scabs and bruising on her body. Her leg showed a burn mark. Judge Blake and Special Prosecutor Brian Parsons say homeschooling played a role in the victim's death.
After she died, State Delegate Sean Fluharty introduced a bill called Rayleigh's Law, which would block students from being homeschooled if their parents or guardians are suspected or have been convicted of child abuse.
Of course.
The idea that on the one end in public schools we have mandatory reporting, but that we can get around this through just simply being a homeschooler, that should have some sort of parameters in place and protections in place.
Did you think it would be controversial?
No, not at all.
What reaction did you get?
The reaction I received was that certain people felt that it was some sort of an attack on homeschooling and not an attack on people who abuse children. I actually had people show up to my office. We had pushback from the homeschool groups in West Virginia. Some national groups stepped in as well. I would get kind of boilerplate emails, which tips you off as a legislator that there's a coordinated effort going on. There are groups, I want to say there's like this homeschool defense fund, group that came out against Rayleigh's Law.
The HSLDA.
That's it. And there were quotes about how awful this bill was, and it's an attack on homeschooling, and you know, they want to move the goalposts. That's what you do in politics, but I always thought maybe protecting children, you wouldn't actually go about that.
What's the status?
Sitting in committee for who knows how long until the chairman decides it's worthy of his time. And that's because he wants to do what the homeschoolers want to do, not necessarily what's in the best interest of all children in West Virginia.
Did you know that there was this kind of homeschool lobby before you introduced this legislation?
I was aware of the lobby. I wasn't aware of the grips that they really have on the legislature. What they have is a grip on the education system in West Virginia. They have a grip on legislation and how it moves. They control the education committees in both the House and the Senate.
What effect does this amount of control have on the public education system?
Well, public education is not a priority in the sense of public education. I mean, things for homeschooling, we just passed out legislation for pod schools. So you have all these domino effect pieces of legislation, and then what's on the back burner? Public education itself.
Yep.
I'm just walking around introducing myself. I'm Kathy Hess-Krause. I'm running for House. I'm the current delegate.
Are you running independent or?
I am Republican. Yep.
Yeah.
The woman who led the charge to block Rayleigh's Law now sits in the House of Delegates alongside Fluharty.
Well, I can tell you when it comes to pro-life, I voted against exceptions. I am Second Amendment all the way, have mine on me right now.
Kathy Hess-Krause has spent more than a decade pushing for homeschool-friendly laws, first as an activist and now as a legislator.
School choice, I voted for adding micro schools and learning pods this year. I'm a homeschool mom. I haven't tried to teach them what to learn. I've tried to teach them how to learn. So there's things they want to know all the time, and I'm like, I used to tell them all the time, I'm like, well, Google it. I've heard the story over and over again. They're like, once the kids came home, they didn't have all these issues that they were learning in school that I had to turn around and unteach them. Like I said, hopefully I'll be your delegate come November. I hope so. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Krause has homeschooled since the mid-2000s after she alleged her child's teachers were verbally abusive.
It was just mommy gut that said something wasn't quite right.
Since then, she's been one of West Virginia's most visible HSLDA allies. She ran the state's biggest homeschool advocacy group for years.
I always pinch myself. Out of 1.8 million people in the state, I am one of 100 that helps make the laws.
So your homeschool journey led you here to the Capitol?
Yes.
You're a powerful group.
I think we are. And I have seen through the homeschooling community, they're very politically involved, more so than a private school community or the public school community.
Why do you think that is?
Because we know our rights.
Are there any regulations that are good regulations when it comes to homeschooling, or in a dream world would there be no restrictions?
The school system isn't giving me anything. I don't get any money, I don't get any help, and I don't feel like they should have any control over my children. I left there for a reason. They seem to not care about my kids when they had them, so why should they care about my kids when I'm educating them? Many counties have lost hundreds of kids to homeschooling over the years, especially over the last couple years.
What does that do to the schools?
The schools just have to adjust. If they want kids, they're going to have to earn the ones they get.
West Virginia's public schools are struggling. One study ranked the state near the bottom for education, and the latest round of standardized test scores are abysmal. Only about 1 in 4 high school juniors were proficient in science. Even fewer were proficient in math.
That's tragic.
Homeschooling advocates say they're simply responding to a failing system. But pulling kids out and campaigning against schools can come at a very real cost. In 2021, West Virginia's GOP-controlled legislature approved something called the Hope Scholarship. It would give families $4,300 a year if they pull their kid out of public school and enroll in an alternative, like private, charter, or homeschooling. That money comes straight from what would have gone to the public schools.
Oh my God. in that case, like, why, like, you, like, unless you absolutely have to, why keep your kids in the public schools? Like, there's no money, like, that's wild. But then the question becomes, is that little stipend worth, like, can you still afford the alternatives? Like, bro, what the fuck? Like, this education system is, bro, what?
The Hope Scholarship was supposed to start at the beginning of the school year, but public school parents sued, saying it would violate the right to a quality public education, something the state's constitution guarantees.
Wait, what?
But public school parents need an alternative, like private, charter, or homeschooling. Kids say they're simply responding to a failing system. But pulling kids out and campaigning against schools can come at a very real cost. In 2021, West Virginia's GOP-controlled legislature approved something called the Hope Scholarship. It would give families $4,300 a year if they pull their kid out of public school and enroll in an alternative, like private, charter, or homeschooling. That money comes straight from what would have gone to the public schools. The Hope Scholarship was supposed to start at the beginning of the school year, but public school parents sued, saying it would violate the right to a quality public education, something the state's constitution guarantees.
Morning. I don't think I've seen this many people in the courtroom when we weren't picking a jury.
So argument that it violates the U.S. Constitution as well, but...
At first, judges agreed.
Our Supreme Court right now.
Actually, our public students are losing money twofold. They're losing money from the plaintiff's position, money that's being diverted for use in private institutions and for homeschooling, and also by virtue of the fact that the enrollment, as a result, will decline. That funding source won't be there.
Correct, Your Honor.
This shit is unreal.
You got a ride home? Yeah. Good. Just checking.
But West Virginia's Supreme Court of Appeals heard the Hope Scholarship case this month and ruled it constitutional, which means it will go into effect and could pull as much as $13 million from the state's public school budget in its first year. That's a big deal for districts like the one where Tess Jackson teaches 7th grade.
Have a good day, Lauren.
That's wild.
For some schools, that's going to be things like bus routes. For other buildings, it could be things like how many classrooms we have, how many teachers we can afford, because those are the things that you can control. My building is the size that it is, and it takes the same amount of money to heat it, whether there's 800 kids in it or 200 kids in it.
Yep.
When you hear, let's say, a homeschool family say,
And the first thing that happens when they need to keep the building heated or cooled, like, you still have teachers. Art is gone, PE is gone, like all the shit that makes a actual well-rounded student. Like, dog.
I'm going to take my kid out and pursue this Hope Scholarship because the public schools are failing. What's your reaction to that?
I asked them why we don't fix it. Why are we not taking responsibility for a public system that we essentially have complete control over? Are you kind of jumping ship?
When you talk about the cuts that could happen, then what happens?
There's a whole portion of the kids that I have who don't have an advocate. They don't have a parent or a guardian who is going out of their way to homeschool them or has the privilege of being able to homeschool them.
Yep.
And so when teachers say, we can't lose any more funding, we aren't talking about us. We're talking about those kids that nobody else is gonna advocate for. And they get left behind.
And people are causing this and are totally fucking cool with it. Like, that's fucked up.
Thanks.
That's fucked
How would
up.
you describe what it's like to be a teacher here?
I think teaching anywhere, it's a hard thing to do. So, for example, my birthday was last week. And on my birthday, my husband and son took me to the mall. And I was excited to be at the mall. And we went to the bookstore. And I picked up a couple of books for me that are like newish books, so they were kind of expensive. And I was like, well, hold on just a second. I should look and see if they have any books for my kids, because I do choice reading in my class where my kids get to pick their books. And I put back the books for me,
to buy books for my kids.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it can be.
And shit like this is happening all around the country. Every single day. And parents are in this situation. Like, it's so fucked up because this isn't right. Parents are also in the situation where, like, now the West Virginia school system isn't worth shit in a lot of cases. So if the parent wants their kid to have the most quality education and they have the resources to give it to them, whether that be a private school or homeschooling, they'll do that. But then there's the other students who don't have that privilege. It's just like we've messed up our whole system. Like, how do we even begin to fix that? Like,
It's a balancing act, I think, of knowing what your kids need and spending your own salary to get it.
Though many homeschool families support the Hope Scholarship, the HSLDA doesn't actually endorse it. It's so opposed to any sort of government involvement, it even rejects its funding. But the organization remains aggressively focused on making it easier for families to take their kids out of the public school system.
Is the HSLDA the most powerful lobby group that people haven't heard of?
I would say that the homeschooling movement as a whole is extraordinarily influential. And we play a role in that, but because people who homeschool care passionately about what they do and they want to preserve their liberties, it doesn't take a lot for us to mobilize them.
Why does HSLDA get involved
power,
with causes
bro.
that
This
are
is
not
fucked up.
directly about homeschooling?
Can you give me an example of what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some bills that were...
he the president of the damn organization. Don't want to keep giving an example. He know damn well what the hell she talking about. Like, bro, like, don't insult our intelligence, bro.
About union organizing. There was a bill about banning gay conversion therapy that HSLDA came out against.
Well, oftentimes, we'll examine a bill, and if it has kind of downstream effects that would affect parental rights or homeschooling, we'll take a position on it.
What would some examples be of downstream consequences that people might not immediately recognize?
Yeah, I'm not coming up with anything. Sorry.
What I just say? Just making wild ass takes, saying some shit like they know what the fuck they talking about. Then as soon as you ask them for details to clarify, it's I heard through somebody else. Nigga, you're the president of the organization. How the hell don't you know?
One case in West Virginia that got a lot of attention, it's called Rayleigh's Law. Why would the HSLDA oppose regulation that ostensibly is to prevent children from being in an abusive situation?
We weep whenever children are abused, just like anyone else. Many of the regulations that are proposed wouldn't change things. So in this example, the child was already, subject of an investigation, and somehow that system failed. But imposing restrictions on homeschooling wouldn't have changed it.
I mean, it's kind of hard, to explain to someone, this bill is to stop child abuse, and we're against that. How do you reconcile those things?
Many of the bills that are proposed would impose enormous restrictions on completely innocent people who never do anything, and they often won't actually prevent the harms that they're trying to
bullshit. He knows it's bullshit.
How does homeschooling fit into the larger educational landscape from the HSLDA perspective?
It's an island of liberty and a sea of compulsion. Our job as an advocacy organization is to preserve that island of liberty so that parents who want to will always have the option to choose homeschooling.
Does public school exist in the ideal landscape?
Well, obviously it exists. And it's enormous. So our job isn't really to fight the public schools on their own ground. It's just to make it possible for people to leave if they want to.
What happens when more and more students and families opt out of these systems. Do you think there's...
And then what did the mom say? She's paying like $150 a month or some shit, like, to the organization. But imagine all the different parents they have paying that. Like, this shit is wild, man.
There's any risks to losing that shared space of school?
Well, that's a vision of education that goes way back. I don't think there's much of a risk because people form their own communities. Education is not properly a function of the state, and so we would prefer that parents just have the liberty to homeschool their children without bringing the state money or the state regulations into it.
Education isn't properly a function of the state. So, okay, so their stance makes sense. They don't give a fuck about people who can't afford education because it's not the state's, it's not the government, it's not the country's responsibility to create smart citizens, to create educated citizens. Apparently, it's only if you have the money to afford education. Should you have an education? That's fucked up at its finest.
Am I making you a bagel, Co? Or was that to Branson? You're silly.
As homeschooling has grown, public schools have continued to hemorrhage kids. In the last school year, enrollment dropped by around 4 million students, or 9%. Is this like a battleground area, education?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, kind of my weapon of war right now is trying to be a beacon. It's our duty to protect our kids. You brushing your teeth, Coco? Oh, you already did?
People be so caught up, this is a war, that is a war. That's not a fucking war, bro. It's about educating your kids. Like, it's not a war, bro. Like, what works for you is not going to work for everybody else. Like, the same people who talking about, oh, they're trying to force this and this and this and this and that on our kids, bro. Like, dog. What the hell?
Nice work.
What do you think happens when groups separate themselves for education?
I mean, it definitely naturally segregates itself. Public school, just by itself, like, isn't a bad thing. It's more the drivers and the motivators behind it. By my left. Then there's the battlefield of the money follows the child. You know, say each child has a $10,000, $12,000 attachment to them. That whether that now goes to public school, to private school, to charter school,
or to him because he's the CEO of this makeshift homeschool organization that he created in his fucking backyard. And instead of actually teaching kids some shit, he says, hey, we're just going to have adventures all day. Today, we're going to go on a picnic. And guess what? We're going to look at fucking bugs. And then after that, we're going to go fishing. And guess what? Reel them in. We're going to have a great time. You're not going to really learn shit other than how to be a survivalist. But math, science, you'll know how to add, you'll know how to subtract, but anything besides that, throw it out, throw it into the garbage. Like, bro, what the hell? What the hell?
to you as a homeschool family, you know, that's the place that I think we holistically need to be in.
Do you have any concerns about having the funding kind of taken away, like what that leaves the public school environment like?
It sucks that out of all of this, our kids are the collateral damage from it. Morning, sir.
Your kids, our kids are the... Get the hell out of here, bro. It's a talking point for you. Like, it's not lost on me. You're the CEO of this organization, bro. You're going to get a bag if you can convince them to give you that money instead of the public school system that money, bro. This is like privatized colleges, but at elementary level, bro. Like, it ain't even private schools. This is like the next tier down for the American education system. Like, guess what? We're going to make up some homeschool curriculums. You know, at the end, it doesn't really matter if our kids learn shit. Like, if you're going to do homeschooling, at least make sure the kids are actually learning some shit. Like, at least make sure the kids are actually going to be prepared for college. Like, don't just make the shit up, bro. Like, don't make shit up, bro. You're talking about you're pulling your kids out because they're going to learn about critical race theory, or they're... what did he say? The third graders are going to learn about anal sex? Get the fuck out of here with that. No teacher in their right mind is teaching a third grader about anal sex. And if they are, bro, guess what? Get the teacher up out of there, bro. You don't have to pull every single student from the district up out of that school. Like, how backwards is this shit, bro? Like, you don't care about the students. Like, I think he care about his own kids, but I don't got a feeling that he care about every student. This shit is crazy. He care about his bag because when the pandemic started, his adventure park business shut down. So he said, guess what? I got a great idea. What if we sell parents tickets to an adventure park, but every fucking day, and call it homeschooling? Dog.
Financial hardship that it's going to bring to it hopefully has a silver lining on it, will cause change to really looking at the root of why families are leaving.
So you think if the public schools really feel the damage, that it will be a good thing in the long run?
I hope so, yeah. My hopes would be that would bring some more awareness and a pause to what are we doing from a decision maker standpoint to cause.
So to get awareness about the public school system, he said, let the motherfucker burn. To get awareness. Like, that shit's evil. Like, there's no other word for it. That shit's evil and sick and selfish. Like, that's really messed up.
Cause people not to want to be here.
Love you.
Hi. Good. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for coming. Do you want them to come up this side of the stage? To the left? Okay.
As a parent who's chosen...
It's wild. It's wild that this is the system that looks the most like ready to go. The black homeschooler cohort. Like, this mom actually seems like she really cares, like, about her kids' education. And I understand the reason she's homeschooling her kids. But you know what she isn't trying to do? She isn't trying to sabotage the entire public school system at the same time. She's doing what's best for her kids. Like, you don't have to, like, if I drink water, bro, like, I don't have to force you to drink water when you really want a soda right now. Bad example, but you get what the fuck I'm trying to say. Like, don't force it. Like, don't, like, say, well, you know, I really like soda. So, at the same time, I'm just going to make sure there's no more water ever. Like, I'm going to take all the water and only make soda with it, and you have to be cool with that. Because I want to spread awareness that soda is really good. Like, what the fuck? And she got to pay for the organization. Basically, she's paying legal fees to HSLDA when the other parents are kissing HSLDA's ass. HSLDA is really just another functioning organization within the Republican Party. It's not about homeschooling. Like, shit is mind-blowing.
Chosen to homeschool, do you feel any responsibility towards the impact that does have on the public schools?
Yeah, it's the type of thing that keeps you up at night, right? But then you also look at your children and you're like, well, what do I do? Hey guys. Shh. Hey. She's starting.
Please stand for the processional of our graduates. Let's give them a round of applause to these young people who have worked hard in their homeschool work this year.
Words cannot express how grateful we are for you and all that you have poured into this community of homeschool families.
The public school system is broken. I don't want to separate myself from that or pull away, but I also don't want my children to be martyrs. I don't want to experiment with them while our nation struggles to figure out what the heck it's doing.
I understand. It's crazy and it's sad and it's fucked up, but I understand. Whoa, that shit had me hot.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts.
But I hope y'all like that video. Yeah, this shit got me hot. If you watched it to the end, thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's LBJ. Peace. I'm in the stream right now.